Welcome, everyone, to the Best of Markham podcast, brought to you by me, Igor Klibanov from FitnessSolutionsPlus.ca, your personal trainers for chronic conditions. Here with me today is Courtney Mulqueen. Courtney, thank you so much for being here and tell us a bit about yourself.
Sure. So Igor, I'm a lawyer. I practice disability insurance litigation. So I represent people who are usually quite unwell, either from a mental health disability or a chronic condition. And they've applied for long-term disability benefits, and the insurance company has denied them. And that's where we step in to help, usually suing the insurance companies for them.
Yeah, it's funny that insurance companies don't want to pay out when they need to pay out and they're obligated to.
Yeah. I mean, it happens all the time, unfortunately. And sometimes for our clients, it can be pretty serious. I mean, it can be a serious situation financially. Even the financial stress of it can really aggravate their conditions and just make recovery that much longer, that much more difficult for them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now I did read your backstory on your website, but for viewers and listeners who haven't, how did you get to be a disability lawyer and principal at your own law firm?
Sure. Well, so I became, this is all I've done ever, actually. So, this is all I know about. I started practicing insurance disability law for the insurance companies way back when I graduated law school, got called to the bar. I went in-house to a big insurance company and started litigating claims there. Then sort of through life circumstances and other things, I kind of shifted my purpose and shifted sort of my direction and went more toward the plaintiff side. So part of that was, having family and that very close to me and seeing them suffer with some pretty serious, we call them invisible conditions. So things like fibromyalgia, chronic pain conditions, even depression, anxiety, those sorts of conditions. I mean, these are all really difficult claims to prove. And I was seeing them on the defense side and seeing how they were being sort of managed. And I thought, you know what? I need to I need to make a change. So I've not looked back. I really do enjoy representing clients who are really struggling with really serious health conditions and fighting for them with their insurance companies. So I feel I can't imagine doing anything else. This is truly what I love to do. And I feel that I'm pretty darn good at it. So yeah, I can't imagine doing anything else. And then to be able to do it on my own in my own practice is just an added bonus, having that ability to take on the clients that I believe in and being able to sort of even manage my schedule and do all of those wonderful things that you can do as an entrepreneur is the added bonus.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like that. Oh, that almost answered my next question of what do you like most about your job, and not just about being a lawyer, but also being an entrepreneur. So obviously, one of the things that you like to do is that you really enjoy is going to bat for your clients and seeing them win the money that they deserve. But as far as entrepreneurship, just being able to make your own hours and choose your own clients, etc.
Yeah, I think that is having that freedom. I mean, as entrepreneurs know, we may not work regular hours, but to be able to be there for our family, and I mean, I have three kids now, they're getting older, but over the years, being able to get to, and I don't know, a sporting event that they're in, or take a day off to go on a field trip, or do these things, I can manage my time in a way that allows me to have, to be part of their lives as well and not feel like I'm getting pulled in different directions. Sure, I may work then till, midnight or 1 o'clock or whatever, but that's okay. I mean, that's the trade-off, and that's sort of the joy of this. Of
Yeah,
entrepreneurship.
yeah. It's very much the same thing for me. Like that's one of the things that I love about entrepreneurship. I don't have any kids yet, but that's why I mean my work is so much fun. I like working 75 to 80 hours per week. Obviously, if I had kids, I couldn't do that. But that's one of the things I like the most. The other thing is I don't consider myself a naturally creative person. I'm more on the analytical side of things. But for me, it's interesting coming up with new marketing strategies and testing those out. Many of them are complete failures, but the testing of that is fun. And then when you hit the occasional success, you're like, okay, that's the all the failures were worth the occasional success.
Yeah, yeah. And we were just talking before we started the podcast, we were just talking about this, and I could probably talk to you about this for hours, but I totally agree with you. That is the marketing side of it, the entrepreneurship side of it, where you're actually coming up with different ways to connect with potential clients or potential referral sources. I mean, that's sort of half of it, right? Like you're
Yeah.
doing your work and then you're also having to market so that you have the clients coming to you so you can actually do your work. And so that's one thing that I'm a strong believer in is just try it, see what happens, you know? So I love that. I love testing the water and seeing, you know, how things pan out. And maybe one client will pay for the marketing effort and then it was worth it. And
Yeah.
but maybe you'll be surprised and you'll get tons, you know, tons of referrals or whatever. You know, I think unless you try, you don't know. And I think that that's really fun. So
Yeah,
that, yeah.
absolutely. In my head, whenever I come up with a new marketing strategy, I always think best case scenario just to be optimistic, but I also think worst case scenario to be
Yeah,
realistic because most of like I have one success for every 25 failures. So there's way more failure than there is success. So I'm thinking if nothing happened here, what will be the worst case scenario? How much money will I have spent? How much time will I have spent? And if it's like if I'm thinking, can I handle that? If it's a yes, okay, let's try it. Um,
totally.
because yeah, best case scenario, I'm like, I have a little ROI calculator in my head. For viewers and listeners who don't know what ROI is, it's return on investment. So I think if I spend X amount of dollars on this, how many clients will I need to break even? But I don't want to break even. I want to be profitable. So how many clients do I need to make a profit? And if it seems like a no-brainer, I'll give it a shot. Now, very often, what I think is a no-brainer still ends up being a failure. But it's interesting testing it out if it doesn't work, figuring out, okay, why might it have not worked? And then figuring out either an iteration to it or like, oh, it's never going to work. Let's try something else.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
that's part of the fun. Part of it, the fun is actually like coming up with them, but also testing the data that you gather from all those experiments or those tests.
Totally, absolutely. And sometimes you're surprised. You know, I was we were saying that we don't do a lot on I'm sharing secrets now. We don't do a lot of like we don't do any Google ads. We don't, but then every so often someone finds us on Google and I just think, wow, okay, so why? Like what did they type in and how did they exactly find us? I'm always curious to know how people find us, and I think tracking that is so important. And
Oh, yeah.
it's so interesting. And sometimes people, it's today I had somebody and they said, "Oh, you came, I heard your name and then I got, you know, and then someone else said your name and then I saw you come up somewhere and you know, and I thought, oh my goodness. Well, you know, it's lovely when that happens and you know, then a couple of your marketing strategies are working, right?
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of marketing, what have you found to be the most effective things in practice so far?
Yeah, I think you know, it's interesting, and we were talking about this too. I don't know that there's necessarily a perfect recipe for this for any particular type of business. But one thing we've really focused on is sort of differentiating ourselves a little bit and actually just the authenticity that we want to come across in all of our marketing. So that is consistent. So people understand when they call us, you know, we're trauma-informed legal team. We have all these experts. We have defense experience. Like there's but that whole idea of people not being afraid to call a lawyer. So in all our marketing efforts, we've sort of focused on that and our clients keep in mind are like they have trauma, they have anxiety, they have their fatigue, they have all of these things. So for us, we really want to be an approachable law firm that people can contact, not feel anxious contacting them. And when they interact with us, it'll convert into a client because they feel it, they understand it. We're authentic. We actually care about our clients. Like we want the best for them. And I think for us, that messaging coming across in all of our marketing, whether it's talking to a lawyer who might refer us clients or a post or a blog on LinkedIn or Facebook or participating in a networking event where you're, you know, connecting with people. That is consistently sort of our objective is just having that authentic presentation of being approachable, highly, highly skilled. I mean, 25 years doing just this, having that experience, you know, working for the belly in the belly of the beast, right? Working in
Oh
the
yeah.
insurance company that I now sue, right? And sort of that idea that yes, I'm very nice to you, but I will go for the jugular for the insurer. Don't think I won't. So you know that sort of you know just that consistently across all of our marketing efforts, I think is really important. And I have people call and say, "Oh my God, your website, it just spoke to me." And I thought,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's because it's me talking. I'm writing all of this, so I'm glad it's speaking to you."
Perfect.
Uh,
Yeah.
so that's been our objective, and it's worked so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 25 years to prove it. And I mean, I totally get it. Like the huge advantage that small businesses have over big businesses is we're personalities. Like how many big businesses try to create a small business feel? For
Yep.
example, what's that soap company? The body wash company.
Oh, I know what you're. Is it Dove? No,
Old
no,
Spice. Old Spice.
Old Spice.
Right? They create a one-person character so that people can associate that character to Old Spice. They
Yeah.
try to make it a small business, even though they're not.
Yeah.
We're real small businesses. Like it makes a lot of sense. And it's the same, and I hear the same thing as you when people read my books. If the reader actually knows me, they're like, I can actually hear your words, it's not AI, it's actually me writing everything, even though I
Right.
could use AI, I prefer to write it myself. They're like, if I know you, it feels like I'm having a conversation with you. So I totally get it. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And what are you working on right now that's exciting to you?
Oh my goodness. You know what? It's interesting because I practice one very sort of unique, specific, very sort of niche area of law in terms of long-term disability. But um, every single one of my clients is so different. So what excites me is sort of being able to sort of serve people that are all very, very different, and they may have different needs in terms of how our firm serves them, like even how their claims were handled. Looking at these claims files, they're all different, and being able to get in there and I'm excited by sort of just it sounds so hokey, but anyway, for the day to day, like I do enjoy, for example, today I don't even know, I have 3 or 4 potential client calls today. And, you know, I read about them and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. Da, da, da. And then I actually get to speak with them and then I get to hear the whole story. And, these are people that I wouldn't just bump into on the street necessarily and have a conversation with. And, that whole idea of getting right into it right away and having sort of someone trust you enough to tell you how horrible things have been for them and trust you to take care of things for them, like that excites me. It excites me like every day to do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can just yeah, sometimes I kind of get this too when I speak to a new client. And again, our specialty is chronic conditions. So if somebody wants bigger biceps, that's not us. If somebody wants to bench press like 300 pounds, that's not us. But if somebody wants to reverse diabetes, high blood pressure,
Yeah.
osteoporosis, that's us. So as somebody's telling me their story, and they're like, I was diagnosed with osteoporosis. I was surprised because I'm fit and I'm active, but I'm still osteoporotic. In my head, I'm going, oh, this is going to be like, we can turn this around so well. Like I'm building the program in my head as they're
Right.
talking.
Right.
I imagine
Right.
it's probably the same for you. You're building up the case as they're talking about, oh, you can,
Totally.
yeah,
Yeah. And I think that's interesting because I think your clients like mine, that would be like it's interesting because you can see as soon as you start conveying your knowledge and your experience and your ideas and strategies and all those good things, you can see people like visually like, like they sort of like, okay,
yeah,
And so there's something very rewarding about that to be able to use all of your knowledge and experience for good and to help people and, to help people realize, that better days ahead.
yeah, exactly. And when they feel like you understand them, they feel the sympathy and they're like, they speak my language. They've done this before, there's a lot of trust that's built. And again, the fact that we're small businesses really helps with authenticity.
Yep, 100%.
Now, of course, entrepreneurship is a lot of fun, but there's sometimes downsides. So what obstacles have you encountered in your time, both as a lawyer and an entrepreneur?
So as a lawyer, I guess the two are sometimes, I mean, they're so intertwined at this point. But there are times when it gets slow. I'm sure for any business, you're like, oh my goodness, and I'm more so earlier days. But one of the obstacles is when you're going through sort of that trough when there's like nobody calling, that it's dead silence. I've had those over the years, and it could be a week, it could be a month. Oh God, and you're like, no one's ever going to call me again. Like, what has happened? And you sort of have to have to talk yourself out of it. It doesn't happen so much anymore, certainly, but I think resilience is a big thing.
Mhm.
When it comes to entrepreneurship, just being able to understand that, there are ups and downs and there is some natural flow to this. And that's sometimes can be like, a little unnerving. And the
Yeah,
first times you go through it, you're like, oh gosh, this is a mistake. But that's why I have so much respect for entrepreneurs because I know that feeling. Like it's so risky to go off on your own and to do something. And I have so much respect for that, right?
yeah,
Um, so I think that whole idea of building resilience as you're going up and down and you have those barriers and I have so much respect for people who do this consistently and are able to build businesses and be successful because I know it's not easy all the
yeah.
time at all. Yeah.
Absolutely. And they say just because somebody doesn't get it right or isn't profitable in their first business doesn't mean like the more attempts you make at business after failed attempts, the more likely you are to actually succeed. I think they say that the average entrepreneur who's successful and does this as a full-time living started like 5 or 7 businesses before the one that succeeded. Um, I guess in that sense, we're kind of lucky. We fell into our first business, and I've been doing 15 years. You've been doing 25 years. I can't see myself doing anything else. I imagine you're in the same shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get it. But I can resonate with the ups and downs because, like I said, I started my business 15 years ago, and it was so exciting. About 1.5, 2 years ago, I hit my first trough, and
Right.
I'm like, oh my God, and I realized being a good personal trainer is not good enough to have a business. You need marketing.
Yeah.
People need to know you're a good personal trainer. So just getting good results is not enough. That's when I seriously thought about getting a job, but I held on to it. Didn't get a job, kept my business, and then I figured out how to basically never have slow times. Um, Basically be more proactive about my marketing, take it seriously. Now, when I personally like to keep between 15 and 25 and 20 hours of clients per
Yeah.
week. So the rest of my time is spent on stuff like, admin, marketing, stuff like that. So on the occasion, I do have snowbirds. So when they go down to Florida, it gives me more time to spend on marketing, so I
Right.
can market more of my services well, not my own services, but my staff's services. Um, so that's always, to me, that's one of the other exciting things about entrepreneurship. You have a problem. I have a slow time. So you're thinking, how do I never have slow times
Right.
again? And you try different things. Most of those things don't work, and then one thing works, and then another thing works. You're like, okay, now I get to how to smooth it out, and have a gentle upwards curve. Not that it never goes down, but it never goes down like 80%.
But that's, I mean, and that's so key is that whole idea, because sometimes you get caught up in the law and the cases and everything else, and then the marketing gets sort of, you forget about the marketing, but then there's nothing in the pipe. So then you're like, oh no, we have to do marketing. And then so and I think that finding that balance as an entrepreneur is so important, right? Because you
Yeah.
always want to have something in the pipe. So you're never at the point where you're like so focused on the work that you're not focused on stuff coming in too.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Which is funny to me to say now because when I was first starting out as an entrepreneur, I didn't think of myself as an entrepreneur. I just thought of myself as a personal trainer.
Right.
Now I think of myself as a business that markets personal training services. And so that mindset shift also came with a scheduling shift because all I wanted at first, I didn't want to do any marketing. I just wanted to be a personal trainer and just
Right.
just help people with chronic conditions. And I was good at it. Within about 2.5 years, my schedule was full with personal training clients. So I thought, good, I'm done with marketing. Never need to do it again. Big mistake, big mistake. People pass away because we do work with elderly clients. People move cities, people move, etc. So for one reason or another, the number of the client load declines, and then you're like, oh, now I got nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, marketing is an ongoing thing. It's not like I did it and I'm done. So
Yep.
you always have to keep doing it, either a little bit or a lot, but it always needs to happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, what do you do in your free time when you're not lawyering?
Oh my gosh, I'm not lawyering or doing the marketing because now we've established those are the two things. I have three kids and now they're like almost adults and they're so fun. And I hate to say I like to do what they like to do, but maybe they do what I like to do. I'm not really sure, but we like to do stuff together. So, going golfing, going for walks. My daughter cooks and bakes and comes up with great crafty things, and my other son is a musician. So it's nice to sort of just hang out with them and just enjoy them and try to be present because it goes quickly. I know you don't have kids yet, but when you do, it goes fast. I know everyone says that. It's so true.
Yeah.
But spending that time, with them and even just the little things. I'm a homebody, so I'm quite happy to sort of putter and do those sorts of things. So yeah,
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah. Plenty of
yeah.
stuff to do at home, especially now with technology, TV, computers.
That's it. That's it. Although trying to get off of all of those things and trying to get other people off of all of those things to do other things in our free time, that's a whole other challenge, but that's all good.
Yeah, got to be active.
Yeah.
And since this is, after all, a Best of Markham podcast, what's your favorite business in Markham besides your own?
Oh my goodness me. Okay, so I have to say I just like walking up Main Street Markham. Like I just enjoy it. Like popping into the tea shop or popping into like the clothing stores and all the little boutiques and restaurants and the pottery painting. It's so lovely that little stretch there of Main Street Markham that I really do enjoy that and that as well as like all the paths and stuff. And our office we're just right by the hospital, by the Markham Stouffville Hospital. So we're not kind of walking distance there. So it's nice. I get a little distance. I can jump in the car, go there, park and walk.
Yeah,
So I do, and I really enjoy that, doing
yeah,
that there.
yeah. I
Yeah.
love that stretch as well. It's
Yeah.
funny how many. I think that you're my 16th or 17th episode, but it's funny how many of the businesses that I interview are from that stretch, from that corridor. Is there a specific business on Main Street, Markham, or anywhere else in Markham that you want to mention, or you want to give a shout out to?
Um, okay, well, I don't know. You know what? Because we're sort of a little off from Main Street Markham, because they're all fantastic. I can't like specifically tell you what I like the most, but we're right by the hospital. There is a Druxies. I don't know if everybody knows this. There's a Druxies at the bottom of the hospital, like
Yeah.
in their sandwiches are fantastic. I swear, like they put so much wonderful like food out there for people, feeding all the doctors and nurses and everybody and all the patients and family in that hospital. But they do, it's a little hidden gem. I don't think people know about it in there. And they're so friendly and so lovely. And so popping over there for lunch is great. So I do enjoy them.
It's funny that you mentioned that, but I think the restaurants in hospitals are underrated. The closest Starbucks to where I live now, I live on Leslie and Shepherd,
Yeah.
is actually in the North Shore General Hospital.
Okay.
And that's actually the one I visit most often, funny enough.
It's so strange, but no, everyone complains about hospital food. I'm sure the hospital food, I haven't tried that, so I can't comment on that. But
Yeah.
hidden gem, little Drexies, and they are so lovely, the people who work there. So I enjoy
Good
it.
to know. Good
Yeah.
to know. Lastly, how can our viewers and listeners get in touch with you?
Best way is probably through our website, which is www.mulqueendisabilitylaw.com. And there's links to info at Mulqueen by email. You can even call us, and we have a few wonderful law clerks who pick up the phone and I promise we'll be super lovely and listen to whoever calls us, and we'll see whatever we can do to help. We don't turn anyone away without pointing them in some direction to try to help them, even if we cannot. So, anybody who needs us can reach us probably through that. That's the best
That's
way.
awesome. And I'll have all of your contact in the show notes as well.
Fantastic.
Courtney, thank you so much. This was a great chat. And once again, I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. And we'll have to talk again later about all our marketing things and all of that. I would enjoy that. Okay.
Absolutely. We can go on forever.
Okay. Thanks so much, Igor.
Thank